Just to introduce the guys here, Francis Jackson.
Hi.
Of YouTube fame. Slightly Wynne, creative lead, so the creative mastermind behind Wicker Man, and Neil, who has project managed the build and the whole process of making it happen. So, Andy, go ahead.
Well, we've been campaigning for a wooden coaster here for a very long time, 20 years. You've worked on the project. Are you as glad as we are that you've finally got one in the park?
Yeah, I am, definitely.
In that case, what took so long?
I think we, as you know, had to convince Merlin to do it, and it had to be the right project, it had to be the right site, it had to tick all the boxes from the brief from Alton. That's why it's taken so long, and as you know, as with any project that any company delivers, we have budget parameters, you know, the planning parameters that we work within, so it was making all the pieces fit and at the right time, and this felt like the right time.
I think that it felt like the right time, and I think it feels like the right location. We did look at various locations over the years, as you're fully aware, and I think this one, my view is, it is the perfect location for what we've delivered. So, what your view is?
Well, yeah, perfect location, and you've done so well getting what you've got in the land available as well. So you made the best of the terrain and the space available. A few years ago, at a meeting down in Poole, when we were arguing over should we get wood, what changed the opinion that you should finally get it? You know.
I just think it was okay. We've been trying for years, as you know. We looked at various different ways of putting a woodie into Alton, and it was a case of okay, it's actually researching a little bit Marmite. I think we just need to try it, and I think the Wicker Man. We know it's not the IP, it's not based on any movie, it's an Alton own thing, but getting that right and elevating the proposition with the pre-show and the story and the immersivity, it's the package that's right, it's not just the fact that it's a woodie, and that is what's got it through the board and to be built.
Is it also about having the right partner and technology to deliver a woodie that could do everything we needed in the space?
I think working with GCI was the right choice, I absolutely do. And I think, like Brad says, it's the whole package that we had to sell. And it was a sell. You know, we did have to go to the board to sell the benefits of the woodie. And as Brad said, the research, you know, was Marmite, we were waving and this, that, and the other. So it was about building that whole package together when we presented.
That was at the board meeting. That was Nick's view. Nick Barney's view was the public see them as old, rickety things because they compare them to Blackpool things, because we haven't got any new ones to compare this millennium. But the public's view would still be the same. They didn't suddenly go, actually, yeah, we do feel like we'd sit. But Merlin's view suddenly changed, and they put it in, and the public, the response has been very good. On the media response has been very good. It's just I wondered what suddenly changed.
What changed it? Ronnie's view, I don't know. I wish I did, but you know, no.
So just building on that point, then let's hear from Scott, our resident Blackpool expert. How does it compare?
I thought it was brilliant. Back row was really good. Really intense. A lot more intense than it looks. I think a few of us have said that. It rides a lot more intense than it looks, for definite. I've not tried it at the front yet, but at the back it was really, really good. Difficult to compare to Pleasure Beach's woodies because there are a big age difference, but a totally different woodie style as well. But for me, compared to the other modern woodies I've done, it's one of the best, definitely.
Was there anything that you wanted to ask specifically of the guys?
Just why GCI really? It was one of the. Well, I think you might have already touched on that.
I mean, we did review others.
Yeah.
So we started with a list. We went and Bradley and I had the hard task of going around and researching roller coasters. So we went over to Europa and went to see that over there. Bradley got to California as well. I didn't. I had to find that one. So we did sort of research. I did the full breakdown and obviously the cost analysis and this, that and the other, and actually there wasn't a lot within the cost, there was nothing really, so it wasn't cost that drove us to GCI. it was we took a whole team. So we took myself and Bradley went, the ops team went, technical guys went, and we did that full analysis of how does everybody feel about the coasters. You know, what do we think is the best? And we went through all the sort of, you know, the materials, the maintenance, the experience, everything. And really, it just boiled down to that sort of feeling that we thought that, you know, the GCI coaster just felt better than, you know, the other ones. So, and that's what led us to GCI. And so it's a lot of the research, but it just, you know.
I know the question was about why specifically GCI, but doing that research and going around all the US parks and seeing their GCI woodies, we came to the conclusion that why wouldn't we have a wooden coaster at Alton? It's just an obvious missing part of the portfolio, which I think gradually sunk into the board as well. So,
did you take any inspiration from the UK woodies at all, or was it mainly the ones in America?
So as
There's not many to pick from, to be fair.
It's just, obviously going to the US, they have a lot of GCI woodies to look at, so the trick was to kind of scope out the quality of GCI woodie. It's not that we weren't focusing on what's in the UK as such.
Fair enough.
I think with the site itself and the design, you know, Alton's unique. It has a unique set of constraints that we have to work to.
Yeah.
As you all know, which is why, you know, our coaster, they go down.
Yeah.
We dig down in the ground because we can't go up because of the height restrictions and this, that and the other. So, you know, it was bringing GCI over and saying, this is the land, this is the constraints, what can we do in this area? And they came up with, you know, what you see out there, which I think is pretty compelling and actually fantastic in terms of the area that we've got to work with.
Yeah.
Katie?
Can you give us a bit more of an insight into where the inspiration for Wicker Man's theme came from, and if there are sort of any other themes that were considered before you finally settled on Wicker Man?
As always, we received a brief from Alton Towers. We knew from what we've just discussed that we wanted to put a woodie in. We knew that we wanted it to be a family thrill ride, so we had those two things to consider. We then started to look at, as we always do, stories and themes. So we always generate a whole bunch that we whittle down, and we ended up with 4 or 5. Wicker Man was one of them. There was a film IP one that was one of them, which I can't disclose, unfortunately, because we didn't end up doing it, so we don't have the rights to talk about it. And a few other homegrown IPs as such. One of them was just basically about what happens if wood grows a brain and starts coming alive, which felt like there was a nugget of gold in there, but when we started to round it off into a proposition that we could sell to our guests, it was like, we're talking nonsense, this is what are we on about? We don't even get what we're on about. So, Wicker Man was just something that fits. It makes the best of the wood material. It makes the best of the site. We knew that we wanted to do Alton's most immersively themed roller coaster that we've ever done. So we knew we wanted to focus more on telling the story to our guests than we normally would. All of our rides have a backstory, as you know. We don't always convey that very deeply to our guests, but with Wicker Man, we took a very conscious decision to tell that story and to make it clear and involve our guests and make them a character in the story. So there's all of that. We can draw from the local area with the woodlands. It just felt like it fits in Alton, it fits with the brand, and we built the Wicker Man, which is not affiliated with any of the movies. It just draws on, we always draw on lots of sort of culture and music and media and theatre and all sorts of influences, and we just decided to build our own interpretation of Wicker Man and build the effigy that catches on fire. And key to Wicker Man, of course, was the combination of wood and fire. And I do read your forums. I know everything you ever say. And I think some of you have sort of said, what could go wrong? And not you guys as well, but when Alton's social media post went out and said wood and fire, people were like, what could go wrong there? That's the point. That's why we've done it. That is the exact reason we put wood and fire together. We've done it in a safe way. As you know, the Wicker Man is not made of wood. It's not flammable. It's not made of anything flammable. The only real flame is on the shoulders of the Wicker Man. All the rest is special effects, Hollywood effects, and as part of my California trip, I literally went to Hollywood Film Studio special effects specialists.
I'll rub it in, Brad. I was working
and no, we talked to them about how do we create flame effects that are convincing under the strong sunlight and things like that, which is why we ended up with the decision of putting screens in Big Bob instead of trying to create light that competes with the sunlight and smoke effects.
Big Bob, if you don't know, it's the pet name with which we refer to the Wicker Man.
Sorry, I feel like you probably all do now. We've been referring to him as Big Bob.
The Wicker Man, because obviously we were building the Wicker
The
Man.
ride's called Wicker Man, so that got confusing in our meetings.
Yeah, so it started to come into drawings, and obviously, you know, it was still secret at the time, but then I was starting to see drawings with Wicker Man written on, and it was like, we can't put Wicker Man on any drawings in case, you know, it gets out and this, that and the other. So we sat in the meeting, so we'll just have to call him Big Bob. And it's stuck, and now everybody calls him Big Bob. So for me, he'll always be called Big Bob.
Sean?
Yeah. More for Francis, this one. In terms of an operational point of view, how many trains do you plan on running it on a normal day?
Well, our intent is to run it with 3 trains.
Do you
I think
intend to
with
run it with
the amount of visitation that we'll get on this ride straight away, I'm sure we'll be flat out from the get-go. So the intent is to run with 3 trains all the time. It's not driven by any volume scaling, so the challenges for us will be around how we manage our daily and our weekly checks on those rides through the technical team and how that will have an impact. But we've got the ride on early ride time, so that gives the techies a limited window in which to do those maintenance checks. But the intent is with 3 trains.
That's good, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is probably more for Neil, but have there been any surprises or challenges during the ride's construction?
I don't think there's been any particular surprises. It was, you know, we started this process in 2014, and it was great that you said, like, you know, it's more advanced than 13 was, and it's more advanced than Smiler was. And I think a lot of that was that we did a lot of front-end work. And because, you know, we've been down this route of looking at a woody for so many years, that, you know, a lot of that was formulated quite early on, so that when we actually got on the construction site, we were very clear in terms of what we were doing. So in terms of surprises, no, there hasn't been many surprises that have caused us much problem. A bit of snow, really, apart from that. Challenges, we dug a big hole. We were in the middle of the park. We were trying to keep it hidden, even though Sean was doing his blog. We all watched that as well, Sean. So,
oh no, yeah.
Big shout out to Kevin Talbot, we had all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about, you know, trying to obviously keep the Wicker Man under wraps for as much as we could, and making sure that the park still operated during the season while we were constructing. You know, we dug a big hole you know, we took the lake bed out for the log flume. We dug a big hole down, we had to move that out. So that was probably the biggest challenge of the project.
But we kept the pre-show a secret, didn't we?
Yeah.
We managed that, so.
We know people on the inside and none of us knew. How did you do that?
Yes.
Sarah, was something you wanted to
Ray,
ask?
did you have our list of questions?
Yeah, in terms of the construction, did you actively approach it in a different way to the likes of the Smiler and stuff? Because obviously we saw a lot of things finished early in the season, like you know, the turf around the sports going in, things like that. Was that an active thing to do, to do completely differently?
It was. I mean, we worked again. Like I say, it was in the planning. You know, within the planning stage, we really brought a team in that I wanted to work with. So we got GCI, we knew GCI, but also, you know, the likes of Alton Towers, that, you know, they're a local contractor. They've got a passion for the park as well. So it's about bringing all them guys in and then sitting down with them and formulating that sort of really, you know, close-knit plan to make sure that we looked at zones and we said, right, we want to construct in this way, we want to construct in zones, we want for you to be complete in this area so that the GCI can get in, we want to make sure that we're landscaping now and we're not landscaping the day before we open. You know, we wanted to get that in because that's an important part of the theme as well. So, you know, there's areas that have greened up already, there's areas that are, you know, starting to, and hopefully if we get springtime anytime soon, everything will start to grow. So we made a conscious, you know, decision that when we opened it, it needed to be guest ready, and, you know, it's an important factor that we need to do taking forward, that we need to be guest ready, and the guest ready, it takes that, you know, that bit of time and that just bit of consideration when you construct it.
You've really hit the nail on the head.
Thank you.
Really. And we were surprised when we came in and nobody was stapling fences together, nobody was planting, you know, little bricks here and there.
They were block paving this morning.
Not that we could see.
But that was
really
that was actually, it had been finished for months, it was just not quite right, so I made them lift it up yesterday.
Just a little bit of extra work.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, that was just a snagging item. It had been finished for weeks.
Chris? Oh, you got a list.
Bradley. Wicker Man has been described as a roller coaster that fuses wood and fire. What does that mean that guests can expect exactly?
So you've seen for yourself as the train passes through the Wicker Man. You need to stop saying Big Bob. He bursts into the There is an effect on the station platform which we haven't got working today, but the far wall actually has a faux flame effect in it with smoke that would pour out of the wall. Obviously the pre-show is all about fire with the projection mapped head. What we've tried to do is just, as I said, we've built the story around the concept of wood and fire. The Bjornen are obsessed with fire. It's like their lifeblood almost. So it's just a theme that flows through the whole ride, and there is physically fire on the ride that we've fused with wood, but also the concept behind the story, it's kind of woven through that as well.
And it's clear that there's more to Wicker Man than just the wooden roller coaster. What can you tell us about the other elements of the experience? For example, we understand there's been collaboration with Holovis on the pre-show. There's also been speculation about what to expect in the maintenance building at the end of the ride.
So I'll just address the maintenance building. As you rode through the maintenance building today, you see it's pitch black. It was always the intention for it to be pitch black in the finale building, but with an audio kind of, we've always called it the Glenn Close moment from Fatal Attraction, where she comes back for one final scare. At the moment, the trigger needs moving. The piece of audio is firing, but you're not hearing it because you're not in the shed yet. We are looking at, between now and opening, what we can do to create a bigger effect in that room, but at the moment it's not quite confirmed. But what's in there at the moment is what we always intended to do, because it's going a bit deep into the story, but the Wicker Man's been defeated and you've escaped, so it's literally just him saying you will not escape, sort of thing. The pre-show you've seen, so inside the building, that was a secret. I'm getting the impression that you guys liked that, so I'm really pleased about that, because we really wanted that to be great and to kind of elevate the ride above just the wooden coaster element of it. But even the slalom underneath the pre-show, we've just pumped that room full of smoke and red light. The concept was to feel like you're slipping out of the building, and slipping out of a building that's just starting to catch fire, and you're just slipping out and making it out. So, yeah.
What I did notice is that the pre-show is just thrilling throughout. There's a lot of examples of coasters around the world where it does have a pre-show, and after a while you just kind of want to skip it, but I think that's the complete opposite.
We always approached it wanting it to be that way. The brief was deliver a family thrill attraction. We know that the rides are 1.2, so we wanted to just kind of ramp up the intensity of it with that pre-show. We've had a lot of comments, are you worried some of the younger guests who are 1.2 will be scared of that? And that may well be the case, so we're saying it's down to kind of parent discretion. And same with Galactica, if you really don't want to ride with the VR, you can ride it without. If you really don't want to go in the pre-show but you want to go on the coaster, we're not going to say no to that. We'll be able to direct people the other way onto the station platform. We really want to target as wide a breadth of our guests as possible with this attraction.
Is there a top speed for the ride yet at all, or is that something that we still don't know?
There's a figure that we're waiting for Neil to clarify.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
The manufacturer's brochure is 44,
Yeah.
but we think it's coming in a bit quicker, don't we?
Well, we do. We're doing them sort of final checks of it to see where we are, but we're about 45 miles an hour.
Feels about that compared to other GTIs.
Yeah, it's in that.
Certainly feels it at the back of the train as well. At the back of the train, really intense. Yeah, really good.
Gary?
Obviously it looks fantastic. Big Bob looks fantastic. The park's going to close fairly early, you know, outside of Scarefest fireworks. Do you have any sort of plans for late summer night opening?
Not that I can tell you.
At this point, no. Just within our normal operational hours, and I think I'm really looking forward to Scarefest.
Yeah.
When we have it running at night time. I mean, so you know how late the sun goes down anyway in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
It'll be a real challenge to stay right.
Yeah. I mean, the other point is, and we were talking about this yesterday, we expect there might be some queues in opening weeks, and we're still getting dark quite early, and obviously, you know, we will close the queue line but let everybody run through. So it may well be that people in the first few weeks will have the chance to ride it as it's dropping dark. But sorry.
She looks spectacular, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She, Bob.
She.
Bob.
Whatever.
We think the ride's a she, don't we? And Big Bob's Big Bob. Don't know how that works.
I mean, in designing the ride, we've had to design in a lot of audio tunnels and things like that, and we have a lot of neighbours close to this site that we have to be mindful of as a resort, and that is why, as you probably know, we can't operate in evening hours all throughout the year. So we just need to be a bit careful, and it's dictated things like where we can put speakers on the lift hill and what direction they have to face, and where we have to actually put, like, you notice on just before we go through the chest pass of Big Bob, we've had to put in like timber walls along the track. That's to contain the sound and things like that. So all of this thought that isn't immediately obvious, probably externally, feeds into stuff like that.
And I think, you know, if your question is sort of about, you know, does it look better in the evening than it looks in the daytime? I mean, obviously it's sunny now, but if you guys have been here this morning, when it was really grey, when it was snowing and the full kind of flame and smoke was going, I mean, it's just as impressive.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, I think with anything that's wooden as well, it has different character in different times of day and different lights. So
it does react. I mean, the atmospherics is different. You know, so the special effects, the smoke will go one way or one way. The flame effects will move. So it depends not only sort of, you know, what hour you're on it really, that you'll get a different effect.
Yeah.
Dusk is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is, you know, we've ridden it on me during the night time, and then dusk is absolutely fantastic. But it's equally, you'll get it throughout the day.
But at the end of the day, the effect we were going for is for it to look like it's on fire, not just to make it look snazzy and you know. So I think we've done it in an appropriate way to make it give that effect during the day and during the evening.
Right, probably got time for a couple more questions. So.
Previous secret weapons and developments here to get the marketing back. The backing has always had a world's first element, a secret element that's used in marketing. We briefly saw groundbreaking development, and then first roller coaster fusing wood and fire, which had a bit of questions on that. But more broadly, what is it that has allowed this to come to fruition without I don't want to say a gimmick because that's not fair of the coasters that you've got, but without that absolute element that you can say it's the world's this, it's the world's that. What's different about this ride that's allowed that to happen?
Well, I mean, we've already talked about how we came to have the Woody. I think that's one thing. The other thing is to kind of acknowledge that yes, there feels like there has been a change of direction and a change of the wind in. You know, there's only so many things you can do technically. You can only go so fast. Particularly at Alton, we can only go so high. We've done loops with Smile. It feels like we've kind of ticked all the boxes. What we're focusing now is on just delivering fantastic attractions for our guests and world-beating attractions that may not be world's firsts, but actually in its own way it feels like it maybe is a world's first because it's the most immersive wooden roller coaster from a theming point of view with a pre-show, whatever else. That's not a fact, that's a matter of opinion. Our focus was just to deliver a fantastic ride for our guests, and I think that is the right thing to do moving forwards. We may well deliver another world's first in the future, but it will not be the thing that dictates our briefs anymore.
And was it not also about a kind of almost a stripping back, going back to that real primal essence of what it was about the original roller coasters that people loved?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, a deliberate decision to move away from those kind of technical firsts.
Yeah.
We're all for it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great. Any more for any more? Andy?
Do you think this will start a wooden coaster renaissance and the park will get one?
Hopefully. I cannot speak for future developments at Thorpe. I'm not allocated to Thorpe Park at the moment as a creative. I know that they're looking at all sorts of different future planning options at Thorpe. Who knows? Watch this space. If this is a success, who knows? It may well change the perception of Merlin and their opinion on putting woodies in, but who knows?
Did you ever consider RMC, just out of curiosity?
We did look at that in the early stages, yeah.
Is there a particular reason you didn't go down that route?
I can't remember now actually when we did the analysis.
The dagger eyes.
Not real.
Not real. Well, yeah, that was the. We did look at that, and we did. It was that it needs to be a Woody if it's a Woody.
Right.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
Was it also about GCI, their ability to because of the way they build it, their ability to create the twists and turns in that very tightly packed space with the photography?
Yeah, you can have that.
It was, yeah. I mean, we looked at GCI and GCI met our brief, but there was that, but our brief was that it needs to be a Woody.
Yeah.
It can't be a hybrid.
And we even did specific market testing research on, do you even know what a Woody is? Here's a picture of a hybrid, here's a picture of a Woody, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? And we just came to the conclusion in the end that, as Neil said, if it's going to be wood, it just needs to be real wood.
So what's next for you and the team? Is there a secret weapon 9 on the drawing board yet?
Well, we're always master planning, we're always reviewing the portfolio of rides. At the moment we're starting, we're quite a way in obviously to 2019 developments. When it comes to the next secret weapon, we just need to keep our eye on the master plan and work future plans out. But at the moment there is certainly nothing in the design stage for SW9 in active design.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. As you know, we've got a capex cycle, so at the moment it's not time to
for the
work
next
on
few
that.
years we're on the sort of the smaller capex cycle, but as we said right at the start, we started this in 2014, so we need to start.
Yeah. Now, obviously, John Wardley designed some fantastic wooden roller coasters for Alton Towers, and none of them got built. Has John Wardley have any input with Wicker Man, or has he been to experience it yet?
Yeah, he's experienced it and given it a very firm seal of approval. John has consulted on this project in a kind of more removed position. He's very pleased with the result, and he's given us a seal of approval. As you know, he did have some input into the layout of the ride in the first drop. He made a recommendation that we did move forwards on.
So yeah, we did. John was involved in the design team meetings. He sort of advised, consulted, and we did pick up on some of the advice that he gave us, and that's kind of particularly around the first drop.
It's good to hear.
It was a couple of weeks ago that he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came a couple of weeks ago and we rode it with John, which was good.
And it was a huge compliment to me how amazed he was actually by the pre-show. He wasn't expecting the projection mapping element, and he said that's really going to surprise people. So he's a legend, as you all know, so that was a huge compliment for me to get his seal of approval on not just the ride but the more theatrical kind of theming elements of it as well.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
Any more? Right. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.